The Deputy Vice Chancellor Administration, Deputy Vice Chancellor Academic, the Registrar, the University Librarian, Provost of the College of Medicine and of the Postgraduate College, Dean of Clinical Sciences, Deans of other faculties and of students, Directors of institutes and centers, Heads of departments, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. The rescheduled 452nd in the University of Ibadan Inaugural Lecture Series will be delivered this evening by Professor Prisca Adejumo, Head Department of Nursing, on behalf of the Faculty of Clinical Sciences. Our inaugural lecturer was born on 28 June 1967 to the family of late Prince Abraham Waliola and late Madam Abike Mulikatu Adeleke. He started a primary school education at Zion African Church Primary School, Alagba, Agege, Lagos, in June 1974. She started owning her leadership qualities at a tender age of 12 years when she was appointed the head girl of her school in July 1980. She proceeded to the prestigious Premier Grammar School, Abeokuta, in 1981. However, following her father's transfer to the then Bendel State, she continued her secondary education at Asaba Girls Grammar School and later at St. Rose's Girls Grammar School, Ogwashuku, in the then Bendel State, now Delta State, where she sat for the West African School Certificate in September 1986. While in Form 4 in 1985, the young Prisca Adeleke wrote the General Certificate of Education and passed at distinction level, thus motivating her to write the entrance examination into the School of Nursing, University of Benin Teaching Hospital, UBTH. She was admitted to study general nursing in 1986, and she completed the program in November 1989. Thereafter, she proceeded to Ogun State School of Midwifery, Ijebu-Ode, for midwifery training between March 1990 and March 1991. Our inaugural lecturer this evening gained admission to the University of Ibadan to study for a bachelor's degree in nursing in February 1993, and she graduated with second-class honors upper division in March 1997. She obtained MSc degree nursing in November 1999, and the following year, she also completed her MSc in medical sociology. She registered for her first PhD in medical sociology in year 2000, and she completed the program in 2004. Thereafter, she also registered for a second PhD, this time in medical surgical nursing, and she completed the second PhD in 2016. The then Dr. Prisca Adejumo joined the services of the Department of Nursing of this university as assistant lecturer on 28 June year 2000. She was promoted to lecturer grade 1 with effect from 1st October 2006, senior lecturer with effect from 1st October 2009, and a full professor with effect from 1st October 2014. She has 84 publications, including 3 edited books, to her credit, and she has successfully supervised over 100 undergraduates and 30 postgraduate students. So we are not surprised that we have the trenchard hall is not big enough to accommodate the audience this evening. So we'll be able to pull an unprecedented crowd. Professor Prisca Adejumo has served our university dutifully and diligently in the following capacities: Chairperson, University Undergraduate Curriculum Review Committee, Departmental Examination Officer, Chairperson, 50th Anniversary Committee, Deputy Coordinator and Coordinator of the proposed Open Distance Learning Program in Nursing, Member, Faculty of Clinical Sciences Board, Sub-Dean Nursing and Physiotherapy, as well as a member of the Organizing Committee of the Medical Subcommittee of the Nigeria University Games Association, NUGA. She has also served as Secretary, University of Ibadan Women's Society on Crèche Management Board. She was Acting Head Department of Nursing from 1st August 2016 till 31st July 2018. Thereafter, she became a substantive head of department, a position she still occupies. Outside the University of Ibadan, Professor Adejumo has served on the NUC accreditation team to various universities, as well as external examiner to the following institutions: Obafemi Awolowo University Ile-Ife, Delta State University Abraka, Babcock University Ilishan Remo, University of Calabar, University of Port Harcourt, Benue State University Makurdi, Osun State University Osogbo, Adeleke University, as well as Redeemers University, both in Ede, Osun State. She was a visiting associate professor to the Department of Nursing Science, University of Benin in Edo State. Visiting scholar, University of Chicago, Chicago, Illinois, as well as University of Iowa and University of Pennsylvania, Philadelphia in the US. She's a fellow of the West African College of Nurses, North American Nursing Diagnosis Association, Nigerian chapter, Oncology Nursing Society, ONS, the African Organization for Research and Training in Cancer, Council for Development and Social Science Research in Africa, CODESTRA, as well as Nursing Education, Curriculum and Research Subcommittee of Nursing and Midwifery Council, and Society of Oncology and Cancer Research in Nigeria, among many others. She has won many awards, including Best Nurse of the Year, Mentor of the Year for HIV/AIDS Education among youths in Ibadan, Best Selective Project in International Interprofessional Wound Care Course, Durban, South Africa, African Cancer Leaders Institute Award, Inspirational Nurse of the Year. She has also won the Federal Government of Nigeria Scholarship Award, among others. She has received a number of grants from within and outside Nigeria, including, but not limited to, University of Ibadan Senate Research Grant Award, the CODESTRA Small Grant for Thesis Writing, University of Pennsylvania MacArthur Visiting Scholarship Award, USA, the West African Health Organization Award. She's married to Dr. Adejumo, a reader in the Department of Psychology, and the marriage is blessed with successful children. Our guest lecturer is very selfless, compassionate, with an exceptionally high emotional intelligence. I recall that a few years ago, she was always harassing me that because at that time she was a reader, her promotion to professorship was being processed. She never asked me for once about the progress with her own promotion, but she was more concerned with some of the colleagues in the department. Under our watch as the head of department, our Department of Nursing earned full accreditation from the Nursing and Midwifery Council of Nigeria. We cannot thank you enough for the quality leadership that you are providing in this capacity. Your passion for the job is second to none. I now call on Professor Prisca Adejumo, Head Department of Nursing, to deliver our inaugural lecture titled Riding Through Risks into New Frontier, the Nurse, Nursed, and Nursing.
Administration, Deputy Vice Chancellor Academic, Deputy Vice Chancellor Research, Innovation and Strategic Partnerships, Registrar, Librarian, Provost of the College of Medicine and the Postgraduate College, the Dean of the Faculty of Clinical Sciences, Deans of other faculties and of students, Directors of institutes, professional colleagues, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It is with humility and immense gratitude to the Almighty God that I stand on this podium representing the Faculty of Clinical Sciences, University of Ibadan, to deliver today's inaugural lecture. This is the second inaugural lecture from the Department of Nursing, established 54 years ago. You will agree with me, this is long overdue. It is actually coming 35 years after the first one that was delivered by late Professor Elfrida Adebo, titled Universities, Nurses and Nursing. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, I give glory to the Almighty God for this opportunity to stand in this chamber today, 4 years after I became a professor of nursing of this premier institution. My education, care, and research have been premised on a plethora of risk events. My inaugural lecture, titled Riding Through Risks into New Frontiers, the nurse, and nursing. I'll therefore begin with a review of my background and journey into nursing profession. I completed my primary education as the head girl of my primary school with the untiring efforts of my late mother, Madam Abikemulikatu Adeleke. I attended Premier Grammar School, Abeokuta, for my secondary school education, Asaba Girls Grammar School, Asaba, and later St. Rose's Girls Grammar School, Oguashiko, in Delta State. As a young secondary school student from St. Rose's Girls Grammar School, I took the risk of taking the General Certificate of Education in Form 4 in 1985, and I passed at distinction level by the grace of God. This motivated me to travel to Benin City, soon afterwards to compete with older girls at the entrance examination into the School of Nursing, University of Benin Teaching Hospital, Benin City. Although I was offered admission to study general nursing in UBTH, it was difficult to let my father, Prince Abraham Waliola Adeleke, hear about it because I had not completed my Form 5 secondary school education. Besides, knowing quite clearly that my father's wish for me was to be a renowned engineer. I am engineering in nursing today. Despite this, I took the risk of sneaking momentarily to St. Rose's Girls Grammar School to write my WAEC examination. This was risky, you will agree with me. But thank God it turned out to be a win-win situation. And so while at the UBTH School of Nursing, I had the opportunity to interact with my other colleagues to have our first contact with patients on the ward. And that was usually a day we all looked forward to. The reason being that we're going to be addressed with the first letter of our first name. My name is Prisca, so I was going to be referred to as Nurse P. And so we sleep and we dream of that. And so that day, enthusiastically, I got to the ward, waiting for that introduction. Nurse P, suddenly someone cuts in. Hey, Prisca, what are you doing here? A nurse? God forbid. She ran to call 2 others who were my secondary school mates, newly admitted to University of Benin to study botany and zoology, and wondered why I ever enrolled in a school of nursing. They wondered why I should waste away in a school of nursing. All attempts to explain the risks I took in pursuing my dream actually fell on their deaf ears. Ladies and gentlemen, sincerely yours, I became thoroughly confused. But thank God for a matron who came in, who interjected, rescued me from them, assured me that nursing is great, and drove them away. However, that encounter made an indelible mark on me. The impact was strong, and it dawned on me for real the risk that I took. Therefore, I purposed in my heart to do my very best in my chosen career with a dream of excelling. And I give thanks to the God of excellence, who indeed is able to do exceedingly, abundantly above that which we think or say. Glory be unto his holy name. I moved from there onto the School of Midwifery, Ijebu-Ode, for the midwifery training in 1990. And thereafter, I worked briefly at Breastway Specialist Hospital, Shagamu, before joining the services of Ogun State University Teaching Hospital, OSUT, now Olabisi Onabanjo University Teaching Hospital, OOUTH Shagamu. And then another risk ensued. One beautiful afternoon, in those days when it takes 3 days for signal to arrive, I was on duty and my husband called and asked me to resign and move to Ibadan, where, according to him, I have better prospects. I obeyed implicitly and took another risk by resigning my appointment that very day to be with him in Ibadan as a full-fledged housewife. After discussion with my uncle, Mr. Johnson Olabode, the then Director of Administration of OOUTH, who is here present today. I secured a fresh appointment as a nursing officer in the same University College Hospital the same year, and this actualization as a nurse clinician in medical units and not long after, I gained admission to study for the BSc program, which I completed in 1995-1996 session. But thereafter, I took another risk to undertake the MSc nursing, because then bachelors and masters are only for those who have BSc are only referred to as bachelors and spinsters, or GAN and master syndrome. Following this, my husband opened my eyes to a new frontier in the area of sociology and encouraged me to consider a master's degree in medical sociology to complement the nursing care of my patients. And that actually paid off, as only one student in the entire MSc group that year recorded a better overall MSc result than mine. I was then encouraged by late Professor Adewale Oke to commence a PhD program in medical sociology in the same year. That was in 2000, which I completed in 2004. He later opined that my chances of excelling in medical sociology appeared brighter and encouraged me to take up a lecturing position in sociology department, which I declined. And I will not forget Professor Lutayo's word on that day. He said, "Madam, I have often known you to be a good nurse, a wonderful nurse for that matter, and I want to advise that you should remain so. Not because I do not want you to join us at the Department of Sociology, but because I see greatness in you." Sir, thank you very much for that counsel. Later on, I received another counsel from my teacher and mentor, who is also here present, Dr. Adebimpe Okwande, who saw the need for me to leave my comfort zone as a nurse educator at the Federal Training Center for Teachers of Health Sciences in UCH Ibadan for another risk of uncertain career as assistant lecturer in the Department of Nursing, University of Ibadan. May I confess, on that day, I was not sure. And knowing her as a very strict disciplinarian, I decided to report to work in the afternoon. I went on that day, which was my birthday. And that's one thing that makes 28th day a wonderful and historical day in my life. I was born on the 28th of June, 1967. I got married on 28th of December 1991. My husband will not forgive me if I forget that one. I started working at the Department of Nursing as assistant lecturer on the 28th of June, 2000. My professorship was announced this day, 28th of February, 2016. And this day, 28th of February, 2019, I am giving this inaugural lecture. So on that day, I later reflected and understood that it was a risk Dr. Adebimpe Okwande took herself. And I really thank her, Ma, for seeing into the future and also for believing in me. My interview and appointment were unique in the sense that I was the youngest lecturer to be called up at that point in time. And I thank God that today, that youngest lecturer has facilitated the employment of 5 newer, younger lecturers to the Department of Nursing. But that I was young was not really the problem, was not the risk. The greater risk was that I was pregnant, which was unheard of at that point in time. My pregnancy was advanced, but was not obvious to the panelists due to proper packaging. After delivery, a few weeks, my then head of department called me and said, "Ṣé pé olóyún nígbà tí wá fún interview yẹn ṣá? Alákòóbámà ni ìwọ ọmọ yìí o. Tó bá jẹ́ wípé a mọ̀ ní, àbá jẹ́ kí o kọ́kọ́ lọ bí ọmọ yẹn ná, kí o tó padà wá gbaṣẹ́. Who knows, maybe I will not get the job today." Hence, the title of my inaugural lecture, Riding Through Risk into New Frontiers, the nurse, and nursing. The risk from the beginning is quite important. As a product of the 13th pregnancy, my father and my mother, as a single entity, has me as their only child. And we all know how risky it is when you are having a baby after 4th pregnancy. But mine was the 13th pregnancy. So you can understand the exponential level of risk that I passed through, even to come to earth. So it has been risky, actually, from the beginning. Permit me to quickly clear some things about risk before I go on. And I would like you to help me to ask your partner or somebody sitting beside you, are you a risk taker? Please ask the question. Thank you very much. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, members of the academic community, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I am delivering this 452nd inaugural lecture on behalf of the Faculty of Clinical Sciences of the College of Medicine of our great university. And it is the 26th and the series for the 2017-2018 academic section. The title, once again, Riding Through Risk into New Frontiers, the nurse, and nursing. This reflects my over 3 decades career trajectory as a nurse, and it gives me a unique opportunity to explain few of all that God has helped me to do. Ladies and gentlemen, tighten your seatbelts as the plane glides into the skies. Who is a nurse? A nurse is any person in charge of the personal health of another. Nightingale, 1859, said so. She is a person who has completed a program of nursing education and is authorized by the appropriate regulatory authority to practice nursing in his or her country. The nurse is a gatekeeper to life at birth and death. She's an angel who opens the eyes of a newborn and gently closes the eyes of a dying man. It is indeed a big privilege to be first and last to witness the beginning and the end of life. Understanding who a nurse is not is also important in understanding who a nurse is. Therefore, in the word of Dr. Tedro, in a recent Nursing and Midwifery Summit, she said this: nurses and midwives are not doctors. Nurses and midwives are not doctors' assistants. They are health professionals in their own right, with specific skills and training that enable them to perform a wide variety of essential roles, as put by WHO 2018. By the nurse in this lecture, I refer to the active participants and the recipients of nursing care, who could be individuals, a family, community, or the larger society. They are those in this context whom I've had the privilege of looking after, specifically those living with HIV and AIDS, those who have wound care needs, and those with general cancer care and educational needs. Nursing. Several definitions of nursing exist, but I choose to pick that one which is from ICN by 2010. And it said, nursing encompasses autonomous and collaborative care of individuals of all ages, families, groups, and communities, sick or well, and in all settings. Nursing includes the promotion of health. It includes prevention of illness and the care of the ill, disabled, and dying people. Advocacy is part of it. Promotion of a safe environment, research, participation in shaping health policy, and in patient and health systems management. My contributions to knowledge. The slide up shows the 4 areas where my contribution to knowledge span through. And you have general nursing practice and education, human immune deficiency virus, wound care and impaired skin integrity related issues, as well as general cancer care generally, and specifically genetic counseling and testing. In all of this, nursing process was the framework, and nursing diagnosis, nursing intervention classification, and nursing outcomes classification, where the standardized nursing language is utilized. Once again, follow me in this risky journey. May I begin Team 1, my contributions in the area of general nursing practice and education. I showcase 3 edited and 7 book chapters that portray my contributions to issues in general nursing practice and topical debates in nursing education, such as relevance of sociology in nursing. I shared the factual duality when the question arose whether nursing students should offer sociology as a course. In a book titled, in a write-up or article, Adejumo 2012, I brought to the fore that sociology has grown over the years, according to Adejumo 1998 and 2005, to impact health in various specializations. Hence, I have had the privilege of teaching medical sociology to students of medicine, nursing, physiotherapy at undergraduate and at postgraduate levels. And at one point or the other, following these various contributions, and specifically with various debates that arose at the department then, sociology is still being offered as a course in the departments of nursing till today, as it is done in other parts of the world. My second contribution in this theme on general practice of nursing and education was at a time when women and girls were exposed to the risk of female genital mutilation. I depicted female genital mutilation as an act of turning women into objects, presented it as a violation of the human rights of girls and women, and positioned nurses and midwives, who may be the first contact with those who have undergone the painful procedure, as actually having the responsibility of providing them with the best care in Adejumo 2009. And this was premised on a series of advocacy and awareness programs that were conducted in Ekiti State between 2004 and 2006. This was a project implemented under the auspices of Women's Issues and Development Initiatives, WOMID, titled Otoge Eye Dabe Fun Omobinrin Mo, Enough, Stop Female Circumcision Today, with my teacher and mentor who is here present, Dr. Adebimpe Okunade, as the principal investigator in collaboration with Dr. Abosede Bola Ofi, to proclaim nurses as the voice to lead. This coincidentally was the theme for International Nurses Week in 2018, globally, nationally, and internationally. And during this period, I was privileged to have the rare opportunity to be the lead presenter of Nurses, a voice to lead, in 4 states, namely Ekiti State, Ogun State, Oyo State, and Lagos State. I therefore seize this opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, to appeal to nurses in the audience to lead your world by ensuring that wherever you are, your voices are heard. Still on this theme, I contributed to the position of Nursing and Midwifery Council of Nigeria to justify the need for internship for Nigerian nursing students in Adejumo 2009. And this has been accepted by the federal government of Nigeria and has commenced since 2017. I thought the clap would be long, so I wanted to quickly drink water. Like any other African society, we have our own issues. And so, as a nurse, with my supervisor, Professor Ayodele Samuel Jagede, in Jagede Oke Oluwatosin Ajala and Adejumo 2002, we examined an endemic area in Nigeria, condition that is endemic in Nigeria at that period, and the significant finding was that food that are of high nutritional value, such as beans, meat, and vegetables, were considered inimical to the health of children with diarrhea in Ibadan. And that has grievous implications. In Amzat, Salami, Adejumo, and Oyetunde 2005, some of the respondents had this to say. A nursing mother exemplified this. I know that when a child stays too long in the sun, he or she can have malaria. Another one, in an in-depth interview, said, when the government was grading the road inside the market here, dust was everywhere and later, many of us became sick with malaria. Malaria, as a result of too much work, was also exemplified in a response by one of the study participants who said, whenever I do much work, I always get home tired, and the next day, I will discover that I have malaria. The table explained the rest of the story. We embarked again on an interesting study by Jagede et al. 2005, because nurses actually provide health education to their parents, to their patients, I beg your pardon, and they have the power to influence their health and health-promoting as well as disease-preventing behaviors. So as vital members of our healthcare system, nurses play a vital role in improving feeding practices among all women, and this study places focus on one of the pediatric risky practices, force feeding, which was investigated. In this study by Jagede, Ajala, Adejumo, and Oshunwole, 2006, for the first time, it shines a light onto the murky and risky practices of force feeding and suggested that there is a clear need for policies and guidelines to be put in place. The results demonstrated that force feeding practice is learnt by females through socialization process and practiced as an expected role of a responsible mother. The elderly women in the family, so-called Iyagbas, usually assist the younger women in the family to force feed their babies in order to provide enough guidance about childcare practice. And this behavior was fueled by the mother-in-law, daughter-in-law relationship, which allows a mother-in-law to change residence temporarily to take care of a newly born grandchild. The mothers continue the practice when the grandmothers leave, as shown in figure 9. And the findings of this study actually led to an alteration in the content of health talk that is given at the local community health post in the study setting. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, in another dimension, risks are preponderant in operating theater environments. I collaborated with a distinguished perioperative nurse to investigate theater personnel's perception of operating room resource allocation in University College Hospital. In the study conducted with University College Hospital, Ibadan, operating room team members, we investigated the perception of operating room resource allocation using the Daniel and Sabin's Accountability for Reasonableness Ethical Framework, Adejumo and Adejumo, 2009. The study exposed the weaknesses in existing operating resource allocation mechanisms with suggestions to achieve improvement, realizing that if appropriate resources are provided and appropriately allocated, risks will be reduced in operating theater environments. Between 2010 and 2014, prominent areas of nursing need, such as virtual learning, re-emerged, and we conducted a study to determine nurses' desirability for distance learning. The study concluded that nurses strongly desire distance learning, OFI and Adejumo, 2010. Based on this, and with the university support, great efforts have been put into securing an open and distance learning in nursing. And we are almost at the promised land. Meanwhile, to bridge this dichotomy gap, another giant stride led to the establishment of the first ever postgraduate diploma in nursing in Nigeria. And we are currently running the second stream of the program. I therefore concluded that the main thrust of nursing is to care for the sick. And that gave birth to another thought of mine titled The Human Caring Component of Patient Care, Adejumo, 2011. In this study, and I would like you to please travel with me, think about an experience if you have ever been hospitalized before. Consider the following scenarios and select the situation that you think or you believe more successfully conveys a sense of caring. A nurse enters a client's room, greets the client warmly while touching the client lightly on the shoulder, looks at the drip stand that is hanging in the room, checks the vital signs summary sheet, and acknowledges the client, makes eye contact, sits down for a few minutes, and asks about the client's thoughts and concerns. Listen to the client's story before departing the room. Now, the second nurse. The second nurse enters the client's room, checks the vital sign, the summary sheet, and acknowledges the client, but never sits down or touches the client. Eye contact with the client is from the lofty vertical position to the client's vulnerable horizontal position. The nurse asks a few brief questions about the client and then departs. There is little doubt that the first scenario represents the nurse in specific acts of caring. The nurse's calm presence, parallel eye contact, attention to the client's concerns, and physical closeness all convey a person-centered, comforting approach. I would not want you to imagine nursing without the concept of caring. Would you? Following this, I became a crusader of a philosophy of nursing presence in nursing process, which was actually factored by the CMD of the University College Hospital, who is here present, and passed it through the director of Clinical Nursing Division, the head and the director of Nursing Clinical Division, Dr. Patricia Onyawa, and it became our topic for the continuing education unit that particular year, nursing presence or nursing process. In the following years, I decided to look at other aspects of risk onto patients, and therefore, Adejumo and Ojerinde in 2014 decided to peep into medication error among pharmacists and nurses. And medication error is costly, not only to the patients, but to their family members, to other members of healthcare workers in the hospital administration, and other stakeholders as well. And in this medication error study, wrong time of dispensing, misinterpretation of prescription, absent-mindedness constituted the greatest risk. This is closely followed by exhaustion due to work pressure, distraction, confusion between two similar terms, and poor documentation. The present cohort of experienced hospital nurses are aging, with no corresponding and pragmatic balancing recruitment strategy. This is a dangerous trend in the face of mass brain drain of nurses to countries where their contributions to healthcare is better appreciated and valued. This is highly risky, and something urgent needs to be done about this. At this juncture, may I quickly proceed to the second theme, which is HIV and AIDS. In this theme, I focus on women and children's vulnerability to risk of HIV and AIDS in Southwest Nigeria, Adejumo 2009, and I demonstrated the constraints that nurses experience in the use of protective barriers for HIV in Olatunji, Adejumo, and Adejumo 2009. In the care of people living with HIV/AIDS, which predispose them to greater risk. As an academic nurse, I contributed to the debates on globalization and HIV and AIDS, with the focus on the sensitization of Nigerians to its global burden and understanding the implications for socio-economic development in Africa, Jagede Bankole and Adejumo 2003. In the same vein, I represented Nigeria in South Africa in analyzing community and other responses to HIV and AIDS in Africa. Adejumo Sheikh Awori, Koroma, Hustler, and Inkia 2004. I was the lead researcher on this multi-site study of assessment and implementation of HIV/AIDS prevention activities by 4 grantee organizations. My contribution as a researcher with nursing background was to determine the impact of the various activities of the selected organizations on the people at the grassroots levels. And my findings in the qualitative study showcase this and form the basis upon which the Nigerian part of the International Technical Report was published by Panos Institute, now Panos Network. In the above study, major driving factors fueling HIV and AIDS in the Southwest region were significant contribution to knowledge. I'd like you to listen to this, ladies and gentlemen. One of the interviewees responding to the qualitative part said, "Ṣé ẹ mọ̀ wípé ènìyàn gbọ́dọ̀ ṣe pẹ̀lẹ́pẹ̀lẹ́ pẹ̀lú ìyàwó ilé rẹ̀? Ṣùgbọ́n ní ọjọ́ tí a bá kọ́kọ́ gba owó iṣẹ́ wa báyìí, a yà sí ìgboro lọ́dọ̀ àwọn kọ́sítọ́mù wa níbi tí a ti lè tẹ iná kanlẹ̀." Meaning, we do not express our true sexual color or behavior with our legal wives at home. But when we collect the first deposit or full money for an anticipated job, then we rush to our female sexual partners who are our regular customers, where we are free to manifest our true sexual behavior. Surprisingly, ladies and gentlemen, on a separate interview with their wives, who are majorly also artisans, they responded and reported deceptive sexual expression with their spouses. And one of them was quoted as saying, "Amy, èmi ìjẹ́ ọmọ kankan o àjọ máa ṣe tiẹ́tiẹ́ ni ṣé bí kí n sáà ti lóyún kí n sì ti bímọ ni ló bá tán àwọn alábàáṣe wa wọ́n mọ̀ wá tójú bá kò fèrè tán meaning we just pretend that we are naive in sexual matters till we meet our regular sexual customers who know who we really are. When asked why such chameleonic character, one of the women said, wọ́n rò wípé ènìyàn ti bàjẹ́ tán pátápátá nìyẹn tí èèyàn bá fi hàn bó ṣe lajú tó. Meaning, the new generation husbands will think that one is wayward if one does not feign naivety. This is risky at all levels. To the nurse, and nursing. I also engaged in ethnographic field research for about 2 years with 2 of my colleagues, mainly among people living with HIV and AIDS and people affected by AIDS in Ilesha and Ibadan, as part of the 6 Yoruba-dominated states in Nigeria. We confirmed the loss of cultural ethics and ethos that were fueling the spread of HIV and AIDS. The study also found out various cultural determinants of care and support in Ajala and Adejumo 2007. A vital finding from one of the qualitative parts of this study was on the reasons for increased prevalence of HIV and AIDS in communities with previously significant low prevalence. And in the response of one of the participants, he has this to say: we are old farmers. We do not understand any disease called AIDS before now. What we know is that there was a sudden increase of higher institutions with young and beautiful females that comes along with it, influx of men from the surrounding cities. And when the men are gone and the money finished, then they turn to us for trade by barter, exchange of our agricultural products for sex, which we enjoyed a lot. The result is that they are now calling AIDS. The truth is that at 78 anyway, what else? It is something that will kill somebody, Ojare. Medical treatment is intended to save life and improve health. And so on this, the Nigerian nurse, unlike her counterparts in developed countries, is exposed to greater risk, where resources are grossly misappropriated, hospital equipment generally inadequate, and personal protective services less than optimal. The nurse faces a triple risk jeopardy, considering the resurgence of Ebola virus and Lassa fever outbreaks. Between 2003 and 2008, I was a resource person and team leader on a peer education training project on reproductive health, knowledge, and sexual behavior of YouCom members in Nigeria. The project involved an awareness and sensitization seminar for all youth corps members at the NYC orientation camps of the selected states. And that was followed by recruitment of consenting 100 youth corpers for 6 days intensive educational training on HIV and reproductive health issues from each batch. This project lasted 5 years in selected southwest Nigerian states, Lagos, Ogun, Ondo, Oyo, Osun, and Ekiti. And 3 years into this program, 4 peer educators were selected from each state for voluntary confidential counseling and testing. And there were reported behavior modification strategies by the YouCom members. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, clinical placement care has never been risk-free. Historically, nurses and other healthcare providers have contracted cholera, yellow fever, influenza, and so on, according to Ofili and Asuzu in 2004. Permit me to state a few of the examples of the risks that nurses experience that I was curious about. I coordinated a research on nurses' exposure to work-related sharp injuries and their frequency of contact with needles and other sharp devices at work in a selected teaching hospital in Nigeria, Adejumo and Olatunji, 2014. And based on the study objectives, it was discovered that 23% of the nurses were exposed to sharp-related injuries while administering injectable medicines. 42.3% of them while attempting to recap needles. 22.6% of them while breaking injection ampoules. And 12.1% of them implicated packing used syringes and needles. These are things that are not done any longer in other parts of the world. Is it a crime to be a nurse? Is it a crime to be a nurse? No. It's very important to look after our nurses if we do not want them to become denounced. I became a mentor of the year 2004 and 2005 for HIV/AIDS education among youth in Ibadan, and I was invited to contribute to the National HIV Nursing Curriculum, and also invited as a pioneer facilitator of the first ever residency program for nurses in Nigeria at the Institute of Human Virology, IHV in Abuja in 2007, sponsored by the US National Institutes of Health. I quickly proceed to Team 3. My research endeavors in this team and my contribution concentrated on meeting general wound care and specific impaired skin integrity needs of patients. And the focus was to enhance nurses' competencies in wound prevention and care. And part of my contribution from this endeavor resulted in a book to transfer knowledge from the International Interdisciplinary Wound Care course that I undertook at the University of Stellenbosch, South Africa, in order to strengthen identify nursing's wound care gap. I shared my experience from middle-income country on nurses' role in wound care and challenges of building a wound care team from a nurse perspective. Adejumo 2014A and 2014B. Since bed-bound patients are at increased risk of pressure injury, I conducted a study on nurses' perception of activities aimed at preventing pressure injury among neurological and orthopedic patients in a selected university hospital, Adejumo 2010, and it established that nurses' procedure of massaging, which spanned beyond 45 minutes, is not only injurious, but depicts a gap in knowledge and justifies the need for an update. In order to transfer knowledge to practice, I engaged in a sort of gown-to-town connect by volunteering to be part of a one-year continuous education of nurses in clinical units of the selected hospital as my contribution to knowledge on current trends in wound care in University College Hospital, and later was extended to Olabisi Onabanjo University Teaching Hospital, Shagamu, and Obafemi Awolowo University Teaching Hospital Complex. It is to my delight this afternoon or evening that at OAUTHC, one of the participants has actually established a nurse-led wound care clinic. I don't know whether she's here, Mrs. Babalola, in the audience. She's not here. In addition, I conducted a study in this team on the use of water-filled gloves in preventing hip pressure ulcer. My finding in this study provided insight into nurses' deleterious activities in preventing pressure sore in the selected hospital, and it served as a preliminary finding to follow-up interventions, which went a long way in stopping those injurious practices. For example, our findings in Adejumo and Ingu 2010 on heel pressure ulcer prevention revealed that the utilization of water-filled gloves in the setting was not supported by literature. And this is risky. How do you, as a researcher, go to the field, come back with findings, and colleagues have started implementing that, and the same you discover that that is not evidence-based just a few years after? Well, it was a risk, but it granted me fulfillment as a researcher, not only to discover what is useful, but also to help others to unlearn poor practices as a result of stronger scientific evidence. Later, as a principal investigator, I led a 4-man team of researchers to train health workers in University College Hospitals on the use of monofilament for food screening, Adejumo, Fasomade, Adeniyi, and Ilesomi, 2012, with the main aim of providing healthcare workers, including nurses, doctors, and physiotherapists, with current and correct information about the novel tool as of that time of 10 milligram monofilament for early detection of peripheral neuropathy among diabetic patients. It included a pre-training test, intervention, and a post-test, and it provided a later basis for studies among diabetic patients. I would like to quickly move to something that is not part of the team, but which is important because it provided vehicle through which all the contributions to knowledge have been conducted, and that is what I call NNN. My interest in NNN, that is neither I, Nick, and NOC, actually began in 2008 when Nursing and Midwifery Council of Nigeria commissioned a 2-man committee, Dr. Adenike Olaogun and I, to conduct a training workshop for nurses in Southwest Nigeria on nursing process. This was well received, and so I took the risk of publishing the outcome. Adejumo, and Olagun 2009. And thereafter, we encouraged client study using the nursing process format among participants, Ilesomi and Adejumo 2013, as well as among undergraduate students, Olagun, Adejumo, and Akiloye 2009, and among postgraduate students, Adejumo and Akolade 2014. To build on this, I went in search of more knowledge as I took a risk between 2012 and 2014 to enlist in a postdoctoral fellowship on integration of standardized nursing languages into nursing practice at the Center for Nursing Classification at the University of Iowa, USA. Upon my return, I explored the challenges of nurses in utilizing the nursing process for delivering comprehensive nursing care, levels of knowledge regarding the novel standardized nursing knowledge. These were evaluated, and intervention to improve nurses' capacity building via the in-service continuing education units of the various hospitals were carried out. In UCH, 250 nurses were trained in the use of standardized nursing languages between January and November 2012 on invitation of the Director and Head of Clinical Nursing Department, Dr. Patricia Oniawa. This led to a subsequent phase of 1 full week intensive annual clinical nursing workshop for nurses from UCH in Oyo State, from OOUTH in Ogun State, from OAUTHC in Ile-Ife, and big team resource training centers in Osun State, as well as University of Ilorin and University of Abuja. This has brought positive changes into nursing practice in the area of nursing process generally, and also facilitated integration of NANDA, NIC, and NOG into patient care specifically. Permit me to quickly move on to my contribution in the last but not the least team, which is cancer genetics and genetic counseling. Regarding taking risk into the new frontier of cancer genetics and genetic counseling in this team, this group of my research activities focus on cancer prevention and awareness of breast cancer screening among female undergraduates, Adejumo, Aluko, and Oluwatosin in 2008. In addition to this was the perception of the role of dietary factors in cancer causation, Adejumo and Anishu 2009, and the relationship between multiple sexual partners and cervical cancer by Adejumo and Ojewale 2014. Thereafter, I explored the knowledge, information needs, and practice of preventive measures of cervical cancer among female corps members, Ani, Onibokun, Aluko, and Adejumo 2013, Hamid, Aluko, Onibokun, and Adejumo 2014. I also explored the psychosocial support, nursing challenges, and collaborative research in cancer care in 2009 as part of my contributions to knowledge. That led to my recent challenging of sole curative healthcare delivery model of cancer care and making a case for genetic counseling as a preventive care service, which is a distinct profession abroad, but to which nurses, in view of their training in nursing history and nursing assessment, are well poised to exploit, but is missing in nursing in Nigeria. My research has contributed immensely to this shift in emphasis in the form of cancer genetic counseling, Adejumo 2012, Adejumo 2014, and Adejumo 2015. Various research findings have brought to fore the need to explore the knowledge of genetic counseling among patients with breast cancer and their relatives. Obajimi, Adeniji Shofoluwe, Adeoye, Obajimi, Adejumo, Akinwumi and Co. et al. 2015. The knowledge and uptake of folic acid among pregnant women by Adebo, Dairo, Undikom, Adejumo 2017. And my contribution also identified the need to incorporate genetic counseling into nursing care of cancer patients and their relatives. Adejumo Aniagu, Oluwatosin Fagbinle, Ajayi, Ogungbade, Oluwamotemi, Olatoye Wahab, Olajide, Adedokun, Ogundiran, and Olokwade 2018. This has translated to the establishment of a cancer genetics program in University College Hospital, and an extension plan to other southwestern Nigeria is ongoing. More specifically in the area of genetics, looking back to where I came from, I realized that many of the patients I had the privilege of nursing with complex diseases in UCH between the 1992 and 1993 did not have the privilege of being genetically prepared like their counterparts in other parts of the world. Hence, my decision to embark on research activities in the now emerging area of cancer genetics and the new frontier of genetic counseling. My research findings have brought to limelight the knowledge of risk factors for cancer, various psychosocial issues, the need to incorporate genetics and genomic nursing into client care, and the role of multiple sexual partners in cervical cancer, as well as awareness of breast cancer screening methods. The flame of my research interest was actually given a fresh impetus when I visited the genetic laboratory of Jeff Murray at the University of Iowa, where I met Dr. Butali Aziz under the mentorship of a great nurse, Sue Moorhead, the director of the Center for Nursing Classifications in Iowa in US in 2013. I returned to Nigeria with a strong determination to fire the dying flame of my interest in genetic nursing. And I am glad to say today that with this, the grass is greener on the other side, especially for my dear patients. I embarked on a metabolomic study which brought to us a -80 freezer to the University College Hospital with my research team members. After spending 6 months at the University of Chicago under the mentorship of Professor Fumi Olopade on the platform of another grant, D43 Research Grant Award, I shadowed genetic counselors at the Cancer Risk Assessment Clinic, where quality cancer genetic counseling, genetic testing, risk assessment, and management were carried out. And so on my return home, the NIH D43 Reentry Grant made it possible for me to conduct a translational research in cancer genetics. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, the patients and relatives are happy for this. And I want to specially mention something at this juncture, that on this return, I met the then, today is 28th. Today will be he's not here, unfortunately, the last day of TMD in UCH. And I said, I have this idea, I want to do this. And he welcomed it and asked me to quickly go and get all the particulars and the materials and the documents. And they are presently on display in UCH in different units. I learned he's being sent off from the office as he's buying out today. Ladies and gentlemen, cancer and genetic counseling has therefore come to stay in the University College Hospital. A few of the training programs that we had for nurses in UCH were actually displayed, and I'm glad that all the 3 heads of nursing services, both at the education unit, at the clinical service, and at the public health, were participants in this training. Cancer and genetic counseling and the way forward. I have focused on my research activities in the new and emerging area of cancer genetics and genetic counseling, with emphasis on the role of the nurse as a professional in cancer care and genetic counseling. My research findings have brought into focus the knowledge of risk factors for cancer, and the following are ongoing activities: evaluation of nursing programs for oncology content generally, and cancer genetics, especially genetic counseling. Research and training grant for nurses in Africa, African Genomic Medicine Training Initiative, which was announced just last week. The ECFMG GMEX Africa Expansion Collaboration with the Department of Nursing in 2019 in an effort to enhance interprofessional internationalization in health professional training through short-term selectives, and search for African Center for Excellence for Nursing in 2020. Finally, validation of a Yoruba interpretation of a genetic counseling manual that is adapted from the University of Chicago Hospital Cancer Risk Clinic, which involves interpreting an existing manual for nurses as an album in counseling cancer patients, has been in use for the past 2 years in University College Hospital and is presently undergoing validation. The last but not the least is the issue of genetic testing. Finally, as a nurse in University College Hospital, there is a new testing that has been brought into University College Hospital. And we have had the privilege of testing 100 patients, and 47 of them have received their results, and results for 36 have just come in. I want to, yes, clap. Conclusion. In conclusion, the risk taking of yesterday metamorphosed into today's risk assessment, and the new frontiers of the establishment of a pilot clinic on cancer risk assessment. I would like to close with a few words for the students in the audience. Please Psalm 127 verse 1 to 2, Colossians 3, 23 to 24, and Ecclesiastes chapter 9 verse 10. Follow through with your commitments. God has no abandoned project. Apply your greatest efforts to everything you do. Strive to be different from those around you. And when you reach a position of influence, always remember to help those who are the coming generation to fulfill their dreams. Finally, the future belongs to you. Take good care of it, and remember that God is the epicenter of all things, and without God, you cannot go far. I want to appreciate the possessor of heaven and the earth, my Lord and my Savior, Father and God, who allowed me to be formed in my womb, my mother's womb. Special thanks to my closest associate. I'll come back there. To my children, Olumide, Titilayomi, Ayodeji, Abiola, Mobolaji, Tolulope, and Angela Jesu. Thank you for your love and help always as we journey together. To my biological parents, Prince Abraham Waliola and Abike Mulikat Adeleke, both of blessed memory. To me, you are the best. My dear daddy, thank you for your kind words and for always introducing me to anyone around you as your princess. You are not here today. This is very painful to me, but you are ably represented by your brother. I hope Kabiesi is in the house. Okay, Kabiesi is not here, but his brother is here. Thank you very much, sir. I thank you for standing in for my father today. My mother is not here truly, but is also represented by my parents from the United States of America. I want to thank my spiritual parents, Pioneer Pastor Dr. Uzodima, and Pioneer Associate Pastor Dr. Mrs. Chinyere Obed. I thank my in-laws from Adejumo and Ojo families, as well as my second family of Adetonos. I appreciate you all. To my general pastor, Professor Gabriel and Barrister Ruth Akimbola, you are my pastors and friends indeed, and I deeply appreciate you. Pastor Joseph and Mrs. Tina Joseph, I thank you for your prayers. To Justice Elder Adetokunbo and Professor Mrs. Yemisi Bangboshe, I thank you so much for encouraging me to take up the academic position. Sir, when I was reluctant to leave UCH, my job, you spoke to me, Sister Egbasheyi. Ole ma pay loni, shugbo ma pay lola. I want to thank you so much, Sir Elder, for your counsel. To my prayer partners, Mrs. Oluwatoyin Adewumi, I thank you. All the elders in Glory Tabernacle Ministry, I want to appreciate you. Elder Oponi, my current elder, Elder Oke, Elder Adewumi, Elder Alao, Elder Oshafi, and Elder Adedapo, with all your wives and children. Professionally, I thank all my elders, my teachers. I'm grateful to you, Mama Kwade, for facilitating my employment to the department. I thank you, Ma Dr. Bola Ofi, for receiving me from her when she introduced me to you on that day. I want to appreciate all those who have taught me in this, my assistant lecturership position in the last 19 years. I want to specifically, at this point, recognize and thank Mr. Lucky Igono, the faculty officer of the Faculty of Social Sciences, for encouraging me to take up this job against all of the counsel, and did everything, collected my letter, came to me, spoke to me, counseled me, and said, Madam, please take this appointment. I want to thank you very much. I want to appreciate Dr. Abimbola Oluwatosin. I thank all the people. Mama Bakare, you are here. Thank you so much for what you wrote in your PhD thesis. I saw it and I'm marveled. Thank you so much, Professor Aino. I am so grateful. Mama, Dr. Filani, thank you so much. I want to appreciate all the family from Babcock. Thank you so much for coming. Dr. Rose Lesomi and Mioga, thank you so much. The chair of NOC chair, I want to appreciate you, Dr. Shola, and all the NOC members, the wonderful elders in the house. Thank you so much for doing a great job. I want to appreciate the representative of the registrar of National Military Council, Alhaji Umar Farouk Abubakar, who is ably represented by Mrs. Margaret Eze. I want to thank all the Director of Nursing Services, all HODs of various units that are here. To my colleagues and my mentees in the department, Dr. Detola Titilayo Yinka Ishola, I sincerely appreciate all your help. I want to thank my ports and surrogate mentees. I appreciate you. I thank you, Dr. Aluko. You are not here. You came to spoil Dr. Okolawon's position as the only Okolawon. I want to thank you. I appreciate Mrs. Akiware. I thank you, Dr. Indicom. I appreciate Ms. Ojewale, Mrs. Obilo. Thank you so much. I'm proud to be your supervisor at undergraduate and postgraduate level. And for our new family members, Mrs. Kolawole, Mrs. Abiono, Mrs. Ojo, Monsieur Merigo, I'm glad to be your mentor. Mrs. Alabi, our newcomer, you are welcome. I thank Dr. Adebayo Yusuf, the Chief Medical Director, Best Specialist Clinic. I appreciate Mrs. Adelaja Olafemi Wakumilola. I'm so grateful. I want to appreciate all my colleagues from OSUT, from UCH, the terrific 27th intake from UBTH. Where are you? You are welcome. God bless you. I want to appreciate all my classmates from Department of Nursing, UI, all the way from Atlanta. Thank you so much. I specifically appreciate our alumni from UK and the newly formed alumni from Nigeria from 1999 set. Thank you for refurbishing the fountain, which I have never seen functional until preparation for this inaugural lecture. Thank you so much for bringing us into a new frontier in nursing department. I want to appreciate all my mentors, Professor Adewale, Professor Idowola Yinka, Professor Malomo, Professor Peter Abu, my supervisor, Professor Jegede, Professor Oluwatosin, the Olokwa Days, Professor Jengbede. Thank you, Professor Peace Babalola, Professor TK Amzat. Thank you, my friend, I appreciate you, your vital contributions and role at all times. Thank you, Professor Gani Ariola, Professor Adejumo, Professor Oguniyi, Professor Adeyinka Falusi. Thank you, Professor Clement Adebamowo, Professor Ogundiran, all my friends here present, Mrs. Olubumi Faluyi, Professor Shina Oladokun, Professor Queen Arulogun, Feyintola Oluwabumi Olapade Olapade, the Provost himself, Professor Arotiba. I thank you, Professor Gbemi Oke. I thank you, Dr. Moody. I appreciate you, Professor Aderonke Akipelu, Professor Adegoke, Professor Adeniyi, Ayoniyi, Adeshola Odole, Oluwashola. Lawal, I thank you, Professor Adeniji, Barrister Agbaje, Professor Abiodun Ilesomi, I appreciate you. All my mentees outside the department, mentoring you has been a great delight, and I appreciate you all for all your contributions. Thank you, Ketin Adeleye. Thank you all my numerous mentees. I appreciate the non-teaching staff. Emi Oga number 2, Mr. Adeniji, the confidential secretary. Thank you. To our able data manager, Mr. Nwakpa, you are wonderful. I thank you for your skill and writing. Mr. Bamidele, I thank you. The representative of my father, Kabiyesi, is just coming in. Thank you very much. That is the representative of my father. Thank you very much. That is the Omola of Imala. He is the one that is just coming in. Kabiyesi, you are welcome. Thank you. Mr. Bamidele, it's my pleasure having you around, and I pray you fulfill your destiny. Mrs. Sinse Ekop, departmental pilot, Baba Akanbi, Eko Okosa. Thank you so much for your punctuality and help always. Mrs. Ola, the only PhD student, Egba Igoni, for all your contributions as students, thank you. Another Emi Oga, academic advisor, Mrs. Omomi Okedare, thank you. All my nursing family from UCH, all nursing staff in Warsaw T3, in FDM, headed by Mrs. Bamidele, all SNOs, all PNOs, all ACNOs, all CNOs, ADN, and on the World School of Nursing. I thank you. Permit me to thank all my research team members, the MDT family members. Thank you very much, MDT members. Thank you. Operation Stop Cervical Cancer, Metabolomic Research Study, D71, D43, Gen CT Project, Afri Health, and CPRH. Thank you so much. I want to thank all the people who are mentioned, to my pastors of the department, Reverend Enoch, Reverend Idicom, and Pastor Joseph. Thank you. To all my undergraduate students, you are the best. To all the students of the nurses, to the foreign trained nurses, to the postgraduate diploma nursing students, to students from various schools, Lautech, Uni Osun, Uni Ben, all the nursing students who are here from Lee City University, from School of Nursing UCH, from Adeoyo, you are all welcome. You are the best, and I love you. I want to finally, ladies and gentlemen, appreciate one person who I cannot but appreciate in a grand style. And you will permit me to go back to that person as I close. I like my husband to please stand up. Ladies and gentlemen, special thanks to my closest associate, Adebayo, my one and true friend, Olayiwola, my teacher and counselor, my manager since August 24, 1988, Adebayo, Isaiah Miomo, Itiaran, Abashobiago, Ọmọ wa Bàrà Ilé Ìjẹ̀ṣà, ọkọ mi ọmọ wa Lóyìn, ọmọ Èrìn Ìjámọ̀kẹ́ Ìwó Ọlọ́sàn, ọmọ wa Bàrà Òpòlùkì, Òkàrè, ọmọ Fèyíṣará, ọmọ Jésù, ọkọ Lábísí, I love you. Thank you for simply being you, and God bless you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Please remain standing. Please remain standing.